Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'll just give you a quick update. I just put a post up about Spirit Airline, and they wiped it out from 13 to nothing. It's down to 30 cents or something like that. Now they're talking about the government bailing it out, all this nonsense. And if you go back, it's the same pattern that happened to United Airlines back in 2002. Drive it down, wipe out all the equity, and start over again. Spirit will be back up flying. All the original investors, owners, bond, everyone gets wiped out, and they start over again. That's Wall Street for you. All right, the planes are packed. There's Spirit planes everywhere, and all of a sudden, no one else had to fly in there. You can't even get seats on a plane anymore. And all of a sudden, they they wiped it out, and they're starting over again. That's the Spirit Airlines story, which relates right back to the United Airlines story. I'll try to post that for you later on. Let's go back to the most important story of the day is the CAR. It was down to $90. It went to a high of 744 today. Opened at 680, straight down to 600, back up to 640. This is how shorts cover. They got to spike it down and then come back and scoop it up. You've seen the same pattern in finger motion. You've seen the same pattern in Beyond Meat. You've seen the same pattern in all these big names that are shorted. Right? You see them drive it down. I saw Beyond Meat went up to $1.40, went to $1.40 today on a quick spike. It was 70 cents the other day. I was looking at it. Currently went to $1.40. They have to cover. This is the pattern how they cover. Drive it down, spike it up. Drive it down, spike it up. They need to have volatility. If there's no volatility, the shorts are going to a panic. They need to create volatility. Finger motion, they're trying to create volatility by just keep tapping the bids with all these odd lot sellers. Nobody goes into the market and sits on their computer and say, I'm going to sell 2,000 shares, 3 shares at a time, and just keep hitting the sell button. These are market makers that have their computers programmed to sell odd numbers of shares because when they go unsettled, no one cares at Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, that they purchase, 10,000 shares of Finger Motion and they have all these odd lots. I got 2 from E-Trade, 2 from this guy, 3 from here, 2 from here. They look at that as a non-event. And that's how they're trying to hide it, by selling small amounts. The stock settlement system doesn't give a shit about 2 shares being sold all day long. All right, they're looking for things 10,000, 5,000. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for the 1s and the 2s, and that's why these guys have dropped down to this form of manipulation. The game is almost over for them. You can't have a stock like CAR go up $500-$600, okay? And no one ever, and people are talking about the ownership being 108% by two gentlemen, two funds. I posted the data, okay? Everyone on this call, please, this is the only time you're going to get the proof of naked shorts. We had it in GameStop in 2020. I reported it. It was 177% owned by institutions, the float. So institutions, I don't know how many there were at the time, they owned 177% of the float, of 100%. Since, what's his name, Roaring Kitty was pushing retail, you have to say, okay, it was a big retail stock at $4. So 50% would be added to that 177, and you throw in hedge funds, which don't report, and you could say in GameStop back in the day, it was 250% owned of 100%. That means that there's way too many longs. Where did all the shares come from? Who sold them? They're counterfeits. Reporting ownership is the only way to get the proof. The SEC will not tell you what's going on in MMTLP, right? But imagine if everybody did their job on the long side and actually reported their holdings. That's why they know they can win, because longs do not unite. We've asked you many times, everybody just fill out and tell us how many shares you own. People just don't do it. They're afraid they're giving up their private information. So it's hard to get the information. But funds have to report their holdings. It's their bylaws. They have to report what they buy. And when you get a stock like GameStop at the time, people reporting ownership, or like CAR, you can see it. It's out of control. Now, CAR is not a retail stock because it's $93 stock. So in that stock, which is 150% owned by longs, institutions, you'll say 10 to 15% maybe retail, and then you add another 20% for hedge funds that own the stock. So that'll get you up to like 180 to 200%, not much more, versus GameStop, which was over 250%. So you can see the difference. Once you get the proof, you can expose them. But because we're not, funds do not file that they own all these small caps. All right, we don't have the ownership. GameStop in its prime was 277% short. Oh, excuse me, owned, is now 40%. Now, retail's not involved in it as much. Retail's involved in it, so 40 could be 70% of the ownership right now. But it was nothing like it before. All those institutions that bought it, that drove it up to 177, all sold into the run, and they haven't come back yet. When that number goes higher, then I'll be interested in it. But until then, I am not interested in GameStop at all. All right, because the funds don't believe it anymore. Just follow those numbers. They'll tell you when they're coming. All right, so again, CAR, they gave you the proof. The SEC has to be cringing, because now we can all see it's 150% owned out of 100%. You can only own 100%. They own 150. And I went back and I looked at the short data. It's only 8%. So if you take away 8 from the 150, you're at 142. They don't even borrow the shares. It shows you that it's all naked short. These computers, algorithms are out of control. The corporate structure is being diluted by these animals. The SEC knows about it. And when you see a stock like this goes on, I don't know how they don't hide in shame. Think of the poor people that were selling CAR because the stock never went up. They got out, then the stock exploded. All right? This is the same pattern that you've seen in NRGV, Finger Motion, GDC. I can keep going down the list. BIRD, you name it, all of them, all manipulated down. Beyond Meats, TLRY, manipulated down. Riot Blockchain, go through all the names. Wolf, all of them, all had the same patterns. They attack it down, and then they try to scoop it up. Finger Motion was driven down to 80 cents, and now they're trying to scoop it up. They can't buy it. So what do? They just cross-stock back and forth, trying to manipulate it down. There's no selling. And people, that doesn't have to be buying every second of the day. Don't fall for that shit. Oh, there's no buyers. We don't have to buy every day. We got 500 million shares naked short. We did our buying. Someone needs to settle the trades. And a short squeeze starts when it starts. I wish the company would change their name to SEC AI, We Fuck the Shorts.ai, Finger Motion Insurance AI, or whatever, Telecom AI. If that's a trick that works, then so be it. Do it. Why do you let these assholes, Lynn Partners and Hudson Bay, stand around just robbing as a sport, and they think who the fuck they are? That's the craziest part. They all think they're God's gift to this earth. Oh, we help finance. They did nothing. Just rob. Using a loophole to rob. Pete from Philly keeps putting up the loophole of making short selling in Europe. It goes under. No one looks at it. No one looks at the data. It's not part of the FINRA, SEC. they don't go anything about that. We don't see it. Anything in Europe, we don't see that data. We all know it's being done offshore, just like the guys from Dubai. How did they let someone from Dubai sell stock into Europe, sell it into U.S., get the money, get blown out for 125 million? 125 million, and it's no big deal. The SEC is a disgrace for allowing this to go on. And the brokerage firms who take these big hits, they should be shut down. Jeffries is under investigation for all types of fraud, including Anson Fund telling everybody they lend out shares they don't even have. Think about, you go to Las Vegas, they don't want anybody counting cards. Wall Street's got every card in their hand. At least in the casino, you get a free drink. Here, they just rob us blind. They couldn't care less. And they continue doing it. CAR should be over 1,000 by now if anybody was really forcing everybody to cover. There's no reason to still be here. Just finish the job already. You know longs aren't buying it. The only people who are buying this stock, CAR, are people tied to those guys who own all the stock. Because as long as they're not selling it, the stock's going higher. The same thing happened with Volkswagen and Porsche when they announced that their stake, when it was much bigger than it was reported. That caught the shorts off guard. And VW wasn't even selling a tire back then. The whole economy was crashing, and the stock went crazy. It doesn't make a difference. When there's a short squeeze, that's when they go. That's just the way it is. All right, so let's go through the names that we do follow. GDC, the same stupid pattern. The bids all drop. There's always 100 shares. When there's no one around buying it, that's how the manipulators control the stock. All right, when there's nothing around. I don't care if Bitcoin's down today, up today. Bitcoin is down $59. It's 75,000, whatever it is. Almost 76,000. GDC is worth anywhere between $8 and $12 today. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more it's worth. This is like stupid. It's still laying there. You know, I don't know how funds are in accumulating it. There's nothing here. There's nothing but manipulation, and the stock should it's a layup. I can't say it any more than that. HLP hit yesterday, 117 closed, and this morning pre-market they were marking it down out of the get-go. You know. So again, it doesn't make a difference here. These guys hit 117 yesterday. This morning on pre-market, they were offering it down out of the get-go this morning. Hurry up, mark it down, mark it down, mark it down. 115 is the short squeeze trigger number. Why are they trying to hold it down? That's because that's the area where their shorts are completely underwater on every share, and it's 26 million shares that they need to cover. All right, that's HLP. Okay, I don't care what the company does. I don't pay attention to it. I was told to be there for a reason. The stock went down. They did all kinds of washing. The stock's gone up, and I'm just watching it. $1.15 is the spot that Tom Ronk's team has identified as the short squeeze trigger. That means every share they sold is underwater on the short side. How much longer can they stand? Usually Tom thinks you take a day or two, then they take off. All right, so again, keep an eye on it. I really don't pay attention to it that much. I just check on it every once in a while. But 115 is a short squeeze trigger number. Got to 117 yesterday on 200,000 shares of buying. Today's traded 26,000. There's always a small offer. There's always a seller. The selling never ends. Just keep moving 100. That's what they do in GDC, 100 shares. That's what they do in Finger Motion. All the small lots. It's 1,200 by 700, and it's always marked down. It's always trading at $1.02. Never on the offer side. It's always on the bid side. And for those of you who don't understand it, make believe you're the short. I would do the same thing. There's only a few tricks to do. Let's mark it down. I don't want to sell anymore. We're not allowed to sell anymore. Do 100 shares. Do 10 shares. Just keep doing 10 shares to mark it down. Let's mark it down in CAR. Sell it as fast as you can. They sold it from 680 down to 600, then turned around and they had to cover, and it ran right back up to 740. All the same tricks. Finger motion, knock it down. They did it when they raised the money. Knock it down as low as possible. They did the same thing in NRGV. Knock it down from 6 down to 3. The company raised all kinds of money. We know they knocked it down because the thieves were shorting it. The company raised money at $3 or $3.25. I forgot the number. These guys were shorting it at 5, 4, 3, pushing it down, knowing that they were going to do a secondary. They naked shorted it, carried a position, and covered on the secondary. That's what they do. Wolf did the same thing. Wolf was lucky enough to get on CNBC, and the guy touted it for them. It was down to 18.25 on the good news they raised money, and then it turned around and made a new high at 2087 or something like that, or 2134. Excuse me. You can see it. They short it, raise the money, kill it down, cover on the secondary offerings, and then if you don't get a chance to bail out, or like a Wolf did, they just keep shitting on you. That's what they did to finger motion. That's what they do to many stocks. GDC, anybody remember, they were pushing this thing down below 2. I kept telling you that it's a scam. It turned right back up to 4 again. Because once they sell the Bitcoin and start buying back the stock, they're dead. They're dead. Some guy posted about Webull, Bull, B-U-L-L, is buying back stock. I questioned him. I said, can you tell us why? He said, it's going back up to 10. I said, why does the buyback work? I was curious if the guy had any knowledge about when a company does a buyback, what it means. Of course it's going to be positive when they buy back the stock. Things traded 25 million shares today. Bull, whatever that is. Bull. I don't even know what that is. But again, buybacks are important. Let's see how it addresses Bull. I asked him about it. Let's see. The guy didn't get back to me. Okay, remember, you buy a share, the transfer agent has to retire it. If the transfer agent has to retire it, he cannot retire an IOU. He has to retire a real share. All right, so we talked about HLP. 116 is the spot. Here, as we're speaking, they offer 500. It was 100 at 110. Now they got 500 at 109. 26,000 shares traded. Just remember, if the stock's at 117, what long is trying to sell it and trying to push it lower? There's nobody here. It's just shorts. No one does that. You know, why would you want to sell your stock down 10? They're not even selling it. They're offering it at 109. That means the next trade is going to be 107 here. That's what I look for next. There'll be 1 share or 100 shares trade. That's what they do. That's what they do in finger motion. It's just never ending of the 1 share attack, trying to mark it down. NRGV. I told you about it at 365 was the floor in the stock. I yelled about it every day. Stock traded up to 412 today. This stock has the same pattern as Wolf. They turned it. They got it going. They raised the money. They got all kinds of new business going on. And Wolf got that strategic investment from, I think it was Google at the time, at 10. Once the big boys get involved in the stock, they never come down. So I look for NRGV to actually get a partnership or maybe a takeover. We've heard it was Microsoft. Many times we heard it. All right, the insiders have been buying. They're telling you the company's going up. The president keeps talking about energy, and energy storage. Well, Energy Vault is the leading player in this space, and they're doing it all over the world. It's going to slowly grind, and then it's going to do like LWLG, which I spoke about the other day. The shorts wanted people to sell it. It was $3 on, I think, February 3rd or something like that. I put it up just a few minutes ago, and it screamed to $14 the other day. That's how fast they go when they turn. And that's what I expect to happen in NRGV. They keep trying to hold it down. Don't let it stay above 4. Hurry up, let's push it down. They were doing the same thing, pushing it down to 3. Remember? Everyone remembers that. Then the CEO bought stock at 3.25. Another insider, I forget what they paid, 3.35, and then someone paid 3.65. Follow the insiders; they have real inside information. As we speak, they offer 1,900 at 3.99. It's moronic. All this trading is so fraudulent. And there's GDC, printed it at 3.89. Always 100 shares for sale, always a markdown. Finger motion, markdown. NRGV, tap it down. Just gave you GDC, tap it down. It's the same pattern every time. Again, I think that CAR just exposed what I told you or taught you about in GameStop in 2020. It's 2026. It took 6 years for another company to come through the roads here, the pipeline, to give you the proof of naked short selling. 6 years, but you got it right now. So for all the doubters, all those newspaper reporters, all those politicians that can't see it, it's right in front of you, again, in real time. You can't own 150% of 100%. There's only 100% of a company. You can short it. Sure, you can short it, but that's only 8% the reported short. 8% of the float is short. 8%. So 150 minus 8 gives you 142. 42. Who created those 40? Who created that 42% extra? Who created it? The aliens? Who did it? It's right there. And the only reason CAR and GameStop had that data is because institutions have to report that they bought the shares. And remember I told you about GameStop? All those shares Ryan Cohen sold? Really raised $9 billion. All those shares, not one fund ever said they bought it. They never reported that they bought a share. $9 billion worth of stock. What does that mean? That means the shorts bought it from the company. That's why that data has never changed. And that's why the stock has a different look. And I feel bad for the retail people. I got it. But Ryan Cohen sold the shares to the short sellers because not one long ever said they bought it. All the retail people are raising their hands saying they bought it. That's for sure. But all they have to do is go look and ask Ryan Cohen, who bought all the shares you sold? And say, wouldn't a long have to report that they bought it? Instead, not one person reported. Zero. By law, funds have to report if they go long those names. That's not retail bought $9 billion worth of stock. He sold it to institutions. Go back and look and see if you can find a name of one. Give me one name. Not one person reported it because I followed it. And that's the difference. Ryan Cohen sold out, and that's why that still stands at 40% ownership, because he sold out. And those funds all know the short sold covered. The only people that don't know are the retail people who are in a coma. All right? I hope it works for you. I hope you get out. They got $9 billion. Ryan Cohen could do some wonderful things with his money and hopefully turn it into a real company because he got $9 billion. Most people don't get that opportunity. CAR, those people are getting a great opportunity to get rich. All right? How long does it go on before someone who owns the stock says enough of this? I don't know. They need the longs to bail. I'm sure some of the funds that do own it on these spikes up big are selling, 50,000, 100,000. They leak it out over time. They have to make sales. You just can't sit there. All right. But as soon as those two guys who own 108% make a move, that's when the stock will collapse. Because as soon as they do it, they'll use it as a negative and saying these guys are dumping, get out. But it'll just be attacked by naked shorts again. So it's a dangerous play. If you're long, you should be selling. Always make sales. I don't care where it is. If you started at 500, 600, 700, and you got 1,000 shares, you should have sold, 200 everywhere up and hold on to 100 if you want. If you are lucky enough and you were in it. Never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Take your money off the table and make profit. All right. Unfortunately, the stocks that I follow never move because their problems are much bigger than these other companies. GDC is such a small company, 233 million naked shorted. I've been reporting it a long time ago. The company's going to buy back $100 million worth of stock, and it has $560 million in cash in Bitcoin. That is a huge problem, and they're trapped here. And the 100 shares back and forth, they're just trying to con you into selling. So Bitcoin's going up. I said before, finger motion to just raise some money and go buy a stake in GDC. You're getting Bitcoin at a 50% discount. You don't have to pay $75,000. You can buy Bitcoin at GDC. It's valued at $30,000. That price has to adjust back up. That's the best way to do it. I wish somebody would listen, but no one does. I try to get hedge funds to go buy GDC. Just make a bid for the company. It's worth $565. Buy the company for $500 million and lock in $65 million in profit. Shut down everything. Lock in the Bitcoin. You can hedge it, and you walk away with $65 million in one day. Shut the company down. Give it to whoever has it. And shut it, and see you later. You walk away making $65 million. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more opportunity is for someone to come and do that. HLP, I know as much about it as you do, and I know 115 is the breakout. Finger motion, I've been following it for 6 years. We know the shorts. We know who they are, Hudson Bay, Lynn Partners. We know Benchmark is involved. Roth Capital can give up when the feds come, they can go to Roth Capital and see how many transactions they did with Hudson Bay and just go check out all their dealings, because every time they got warrants, they short against them. They sell the stock and they short against the warrants. That's what Hudson Bay does. I'm sure they do some other devious stuff also, but I don't know. I have no knowledge of that. But the people at Roth have told me that these guys are notorious for doing that. So we know who they are. There it is. It's right there. The government ever just looks. It'll take about 3 minutes to figure this crime out. 3 minutes. The only thing we can do is keep reporting it, embarrass them. What do we need? Nick Shirley to come here. We need a 23-year-old kid to come with a microphone to expose the fraud. The U.S. government's a disgrace for not acknowledging all the people here, from Anna to Busy to Pete from Philly to Christian and all these other people that helped out. Forget me, just all these other people that helped out, that have given us their time trying to expose this crime, from the people that donate for the truck, that help with the signs. It's a whole organization that no one gets paid, and all we do is lose money. And we have to sit here and watch the thieves manipulate our money every day for our families. So we have to try to stop the crime, expose the crime, and then sit here and bite our lips watching these guys steal our money every day. They're like children stealing our money. They're not even sufficient. I've told you, they can't do much. You can only do the games we showed you. Just like CAR today. Smash it down as fast as you can. How many times have you seen that? And every stock that we are involved with has that same pattern. Smash it down. Smash it down. Even HLP was smashed down from 120 down to 85 cents. Go back, you can see the red bar. Every stock has that same pattern. LWLG had the same pattern. Pick a stock. They all have the same pattern. The pattern used to be really outstanding when you used to see Andrew Left around. Those red bars were huge back in the day. I remember when he killed Etsy from 130 down to 60. They all have the red bars. Jim Chanos, when he went after Berkshire Hathaway's position in DVA, he knocked it from 59 down to 52. He covered, then the stock went to 150, and he retired. He never said, he was yelling fraud about that one. No one ever said a word about that. Go back and look at Adam Fronstein with Immunomedics, the one I was telling you about breast cancer. The stock was 550. They were speaking at the APSCO the cancer conference in New Orleans. The stock was 550. They were the lead presenter. 10:30 at Thursday night, he put out a report calling them a fraud. The stock went down to 2 the next morning. They weren't allowed to speak at the conference. He knocked it down. His friends all covered from 550 down to 2. Then the stock got acquired by GILD at $88 a share. After Adam Fronstein called it a fraud, and I had to take all kinds of shit for it. because this guy called it a fraud. Because everyone said to him, you put me into a stock that was a fraud. And the stock got taken over at 88. Not 5, 88. And Adam Francine, I put up his story 1,000 times. That guy belongs in jail, trying to kill breast cancer data. Think about that, idiot. Anyway, so again, I've tried to cover as much as possible. Don't give up on the fight. Keep spreading the word. Retweet. You don't have to buy a share. If you are buying, Finger Motion, to me, is the layup of them all. GDC, it's just based on Bitcoin. NRGV is a longer-term play. HLP, I have no fucking clue. When it goes. I don't know. I own it at $1.05. I said that 10 times already. But Finger Motion, I've been following for a long time. I know most of the big investors in the company. Okay? We met management when they got listed on the NASDAQ at $8, $9. It's a disgrace. All those poor people came in supporting this company, and the stock went from $9 down to $1. That was the NASDAQ. Oh, take pictures. Everyone take pictures. I think they take pictures and then they post it so that the thieves can go kill them. Otherwise, no one would know about these companies. They should never go ring the NASDAQ bell because they take a photo of you. Everyone's so happy, and then they torture everybody. But again, Finger Motion, you got to buy when no one's looking. Because when they come for it, you don't want to get caught in that chasing of these stocks when they go. Oh, my God, it's squeezing. They don't tell you when it goes. CAR has been laying around at $90. No one even talked about it. BIRD was going out of business, the sneaker company. All of a sudden, it goes from 2 to 24. That MYSE, who the hell knows what that thing is? It went from $1 to $5, $6 the other day. They're squeezing all over the place. I just don't know. I can't tell you when they're going to go. The ones we follow are well documented. We reported it to the SEC, 24 times, 23 times with the truck, 1,000 times on Twitter. They know who we are. And if it was not a problem, they would have shut us down. So you know it's a big problem. Anyway, listen, everyone, have a great day. I'm sorry I'm still talking, but hang in there. We're going to get them. Thank you.